can be made to rise from beneath the platform to convert the hall into a 1930s cinema. It's the only operating proscenium of this type in the world. A Spartan biplane flies over on a press photo flight. July the 1st, 1933, and Liverpool Airport is opened by Lord Londonderry, Secretary for Air. We see Hawker Fury and Demon fighters, a Cero Cloud amphibian, Cloud of Iona, of Lord Douglas Hamilton, and a Sierra Autogyro. Parachutists drop from a Fokker F-7. Nine Hawker Hunters of number 25 Squadron provide an aerobatic display. 3 are tied together in one daring stunt. Note the experimental Ferry long-range monoplane, which had flown 5,000 miles non-stop earlier in the year. The Hawker Furies end our sequence with a flypast. In 1933, the Mersey road tunnel is inspected as work nears completion. It was the longest underwater road tunnel in the world at the time. The idea originated in 1913, and work started on a modified scheme of 2.13 miles between Birkenhead and Liverpool in 1925. It was officially opened and given the name Queensway by King George V in July 1934. Local people were allowed to walk its length for a small fee donated to charity earlier in the year. Many people who were children at the time still remember the occasion. Officials visit Otterpool Promenade area in 1933 as work progresses on land reclamation on an area used for dumping the city's rubbish. The result was the fine promenade we have today. The party includes Liverpool's well-known MP, Bessie Braddock. Using only simple tools and with no protective clothing, footwear or helmets, digging up roads to lay electricity cables was hard work. There was always a hot coke fire in a brazier, and a cocky watchman kept guard overnight, sitting in his hut in front of the fire. Work goes on in various parts of the city in 1931, laying supplies to homes and the extensive tramway network. These pictures cover Castle Street, Kempston Street, Bedford Street, Kinglake Street and Club Moor. Rural supplies at Tarbach are provided by poles with overhead cables fixed. After all that hard work, how about some apples at 2 old pence a pound? And the park is the place to eat them. This sequence of very old brittle film was saved just in time. It shows the May Day horse parade along Lime Street approaching St George's Hall sometime in the 20s. The parade dated from early Victorian times when carters from all over the country bringing goods to Liverpool decorated their horses and paraded through the streets to welcome the first day of summer. The parade disappeared with the war but was revived in 1986 for a few years. In the background is the Northwestern Hotel and then Frisbee Dyke's shop in Clayton Square. The Victorian neoclassical buildings in the St George's Hall area and the famous waterfront buildings from the early part of the 20th century escaped complete destruction during the Second World War and thankfully are still with us. Opened in 1893, the Liverpool Overhead Railway, the first overhead electric railway in the world. It eventually covered the line of docks running from Dingle in the south via the Pier Head to Seaforth Sands. It provided good access from the southern residential areas to the docks and the city's commercial area. It complemented the Mersey Railway running under the river from Birkenhead. At the time this film was taken, it was carrying 5 million passengers a year. At the time of the First World War, it was up to 17 million, with a similar boom in the Second World War to 14 million. It was never nationalised as part of British Railways and finally closed in 1956, a unique form of transport gone forever. the live a bird's eye view from 300 feet up. In the distance, the Anglican Cathedral can be seen under construction. The floating roadway provided a link to the vehicle ferries for Wirral, or luggage boats as they were known locally. The backbone of the traffic was still largely horse-drawn, but there were some steam lorries as well. The luggage boats functioned until the early part of the war, in spite of the opening of the new road tunnel. The passenger ferries were very busy all day long, running every 10 minutes on some routes. George's landing stage dates from 1875. Combined with Prince's landing stage, it provided a floating stage a half a mile long. As well as commuter traffic, leisure was well catered for, with services to Eastham to the south and New Brighton, a popular seaside resort, to the north. Let's now take the overhead railway along the docks north of the pier head. The advertising said it affords a panoramic view of 6.5 miles of the finest docks and shipping in the world. The year is 1929, and Liverpool is the principal seaport of industrial England. The Gladstone Dock complex was the largest in the world. Imports of cotton are handled in the docks, while trading takes place in the Cotton Exchange. Nearly half of Britain's exports pass through the Port of Liverpool. It's still Britain's